What up, everybody? It's your girl, Melissa. Woo woo. Y'all, I'm excited. It is Friday, and as you can see, this show is already going to be amazing. I have this queen with me today, y'all.
Yeah,
Come on.
yes.
And the weather is nice, and
beautiful.
we're hitting the weekend, so super excited about it. Yes. So, y'all, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to sign on here. As always, don't forget to hit that share and like button so you can bring more people in. And we love your comments in the feed. As you know, we can read them here. And so go ahead right now while we're signing on and getting ready. Share this feed. We're going to share it on here as well so we can see your guys' comments.
Yes.
And... yes, so drop some heart and emojis. David, thank you for signing in. As you guys know, that we have a little drag time, so you know how the algorithm is with Facebook. Sometimes they kick you out and then we don't see the comments till afterwards. They filter it. So if we don't get to your comments and that, know that we do reply after the live is over if we don't see it in here. So... thank you guys so much. So I'm so excited to have you here, Queen.
I'm so excited to
Y'all,
be
this
here.
has been a long time coming. My sis
Definitely.
does amazing things. She is amazing. Like,
Thank
I
you.
met you over, I want to say it's over 2 years. I feel like
Yes.
it's gone that quick.
Yes.
I've met her over 2 years ago. We met at a millennial panelist, and she is amazing.
Oh,
This
thank you.
woman carries herself so good, like the queen she is.
Yeah, baby.
And I'm super excited to have you. I mean, since I met you guys, I was always like, y'all gotta come to the show.
Definitely. I'm so glad to be here.
And so I'm super excited because you have amazing things you're gonna talk about. But before I get too excited and we jump in, I'm gonna go have you introduce yourself. I'm gonna hand the spotlight over to you so you can introduce yourself, tell our guests on the lives and also over the airwaves who you are. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
Yes. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday.
Yes.
It's been an amazing day. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Y'all already know who it is. It's your girl, Miss Britt. And yes, I am your favorite evangelist, author, and entrepreneur. I'm so excited to be in the place today. Like you said, it's been long overdue.
Yes.
Long overdue. But I'm just so excited to be here. We got some great conversations coming up. I'm launching my book. I'm just into a lot of things. But I just thank you for the opportunity, first and foremost, to be here and to just share and just to encourage people. So that's what I'm about.
Man, you know what? I always tell people, I'm like, we win together, right?
Absolutely.
We're always at different levels. Everybody's at different highlights of their life, different parts of the careers. But, like, what are we doing if we really are not encouraging one another?
Exactly.
If we're not lifting each other up,
Yep.
if we're not pulling each other up. I always say my win is your win.
Yeah, period.
Your win is my win, and we win together. Like,
Exactly.
we grow together, win together.
Yep.
And you should be that person, right? Like, I know a lot of people are like, why do you root for them?
Yeah.
Why did this?
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
you know, there's another thing behind it. It's kingdom, too.
It's kingdom, baby. Don't get it twisted, okay?
Yeah, don't get it twisted. It's kingdom-minded.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, we know, like, come on, let's lift each other up. We're
Let's
growing.
spread that positivity.
Yeah.
Let's encourage each other. Let's come into inspire each other. Like, that's what I'm all about. And that's what I've been about. Like, I've been through a lot of things in my life that has allowed me to get here, to be able to even encourage somebody. Because the moments, it's hardest to encourage yourself.
Yeah.
So I just thank God that He brought me through and brought me to this place where I can be an encouragement and an inspiration. I thank everybody who's watching and live and who bought my book and things like that, who's giving me that positive feedback that I really need, because some of them days was hard.
Yeah, it is. And
so like you said, when I win, you win, we win. And that's how I see it.
yeah, and it's so good, too, because I love it because, one, we get to see God's glory out of it.
Yes.
And she's the queen she is. Come on, I'm loving this kind. I'm like,
Thank
I need one.
I'm sure watching your queen, because you're a queen too. Yes.
Hey Ramon, thank you for tuning in. Yes,
Hey,
I love you too. And so, you know, I'm so excited for my sis because I saw that you had your new book launch, and right away I was like, girl, you gotta come on the show. And I'm so excited. I want to show you guys this really quick. So
Absolutely.
This is the new book. There's a lot of different series to it, but this is the new book, Words from a Preacher Kid. Come on. Dolores said congratulations.
Thank you, Dolores.
Yes, so this right here is your new book. So let's talk about it.
Yes,
girl, I know this, it ain't easy writing a book.
Ooh.
So let's talk about
it. Yes, let's talk about it. Because it is definitely not easy writing a book, especially if you're a first-time writer, if you're a first-time author. Like, growing up, I always knew I had a love for writing. I used to write poems and stuff like that. But this was on a different type of level.
Yeah.
A way totally different type of level. And it took a lot out of me. Like, I would procrastinate. I'm not even going to hold y'all up out there. I would procrastinate because I knew that, for one, it needed to be done.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was going to take a lot out of me because it's my life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like sharing their lives, being so transparent, being so open about the things that they went through, the things that they've encountered in life. But I needed it for my personal healing and my personal journey. So that's where the Words from a Preacher's Kid was birthed.
I'm so excited to dive into this book and read it because I already know it's going to be good.
Thank you.
And, it is true. Like, there's one thing about being vulnerable and transparent. And I always tell people, God already knows too. Like, God knows what you're going through. God knows what's happening, but God's waiting to see if you're going to be vulnerable and transparent with Him. He knows it already.
He knows.
But it's the minute that you're able to speak it and get it out there that when you can start that true healing because it's no longer hidden.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it was. A lot of things that you will read in my book, and like you said, it is a mini-series, so y'all be on the lookout for my book too, okay? But that's exactly what it was because it says that we are overcomers by the word of our mouths and by the power of our testimony. So if we never talk about the things that have hindered us, that are bothering us, that are keeping us from being our best selves, then how are we ever expect to grow and be free and just live authentically?
Yeah.
And that's what I needed to do. I needed to find a way to channel everything that I have been through up until this point, And in this book, it talks about sexual abuse, being molested when I was 11 years old, and then from then on becoming addicted to pornography and, just the different things that I experienced in my life, and then going through the whole relationship breakups. And it was just a lot that I have endured in my life to this point. To this moment. But like you said, God already knew.
Yeah.
God already knew the plans that He had for me, the things that I was going to endure, but it only came to make me stronger. Yeah. And I never really understood that meaning, like what doesn't kill you will only make you stronger. Because some of them days I wanted to die.
I was in that season not too long ago. I was like, just take me now, Jesus. I was like, let's your angel grab me.
Just come and swoop me up, okay?
Let me go next.
Exactly. But it did really just make me a stronger person, and it really helped me to understand that some of these things we are desperately needing healing from.
Yes.
Family issues, childhood traumas, relationship issues. And that's the only way I knew how to voice without voicing is through my writing. And then in my book, it also talks about the different things, like being a preacher's kid. Let's start here.
Yes, come on, let's start here. Because I even have cousins that are preacher's kids. I mean, for those of you that haven't grown up in the church, right, there's a saying called the PKs.
Okay? PKs.
And, I had some cousins that were PKs.
Yes.
A good thing my parents were only teachers. I didn't get the PK title, so I'm grateful for that. Exactly. So let's start there. Yes, let's start there.
Girl, being a preacher's kid, they have this, and that's how I introduced this book. Being a preacher's kid it's hard. It's really hard. So shout out to all my preachers' kids out there. Shout out to all my PKs. We've been riding for our parents. We've been riding for the ministry. We've been riding, like, even sometimes when we have to set our own selves aside and sacrifice for the ministry.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes of a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
They just see us show up on Sunday morning dressed and ready to worship God, but they don't know the turmoil that we go through behind the scenes. And that's something that I wanted to voice to people. Like, they put such a stigma on a preacher's kid that they have to, and, well, in my vision, this is me, my personal testimony. This is how I viewed it.
Yeah.
They put such a stigma and such a heavy burden on preachers' kids to be this perfect person, especially if your parents, like you said, luckily yours was only teachers.
I mean, even then.
I mean, especially if they are pastoring, or like my father and my mother, they are the pastor and first lady of Greater Harvest Church of God in Christ. And even before them, my grandfather was the founding pastor of our church. So it's a long history that I've been a preacher's kid. And with that, we have to hold ourselves to a certain standard.
Yeah.
And then with holding ourselves to a certain standard, we kind of lose grip of who we really are at the core.
Yeah.
Because we want to paint a picture so that we don't want to give the family a bad name. We don't want to give the family a bad rap. We don't want to do anything outside of what our parents are teaching against.
Yeah.
And that produces a lot of stress, a lot of identity crisis. It produces a lot of kind of depression, especially if you're a preacher's kid like myself who needed to be encouraged.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times preachers' kids or the pastors get so caught up in doing the ministry and work of the Lord that sometimes behind the scenes they bring that home and they don't know how to turn it off or turn it on.
Yeah.
When you're at home, to just say, hey, daughter, I got you.
Yeah.
It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Because they're still trying to hold that standard of, I'm your leader, I'm your pastor. But sometimes I just needed my dad.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just needed my mom.
Yeah.
I didn't need my leader right then and there because I was going through some things that I could only my father would have been able to say, hey, you know what? Like, after I had that bad breakup when I was 15, 16 years old, I needed my father.
Yeah.
And I needed him to say, daughter, it's going to be okay. You're worthy of love. It's his law. Something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
But growing up as a preacher's kids, we were first taught not to date anyways.
Yeah. Definitely.
Not to date anyways. So
you ain't dating until you're 32.
Exactly, 32. With a college degree and making good money. And it's like, but in that moment, we still have our lives to live as well. We still have to experience things for ourselves as well, and not just coming from a religious traditional standpoint, but from a total life standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they have to learn how to juggle being a pastor and then being a father. So I get it.
Yeah.
It's like you're between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
What I can't let my kids do, what I wouldn't let my members or my congregation do.
Yeah.
So then we had to also endure what they were trying to teach against.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part about being a preacher's kid is that your life is under a microscope, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Whether you feel like people are watching you or not, they're watching you.
Oh, yeah, they're always watching you.
They're always watching. Eyes is everywhere.
Trust, I know.
Okay.
They'll be like, I seen your daughter at the Conoco talking to little Jimmy.
Exactly. I'm like, dang, mind your business.
I'm like, dang, he was with his girlfriend. She was in the car. You just said hello.
Y'all got that all twisted up. Wait a minute. But yeah, so, and I think that's the thing about growing up being a preacher's kid is that sometimes we feel like we have to walk this straight and narrow line so that we, again, like I said, we don't put a bad name on the family.
Yeah.
And we don't embarrass them. But at the same time, we have to live our own lives and we have to endure things and experience things for ourselves. And that's exactly what my book is talking about. If you could just see from the cover, I have dealt with self-hate, guilt, thoughts of suicide, heartbreak, fear of being who I really am, because it was not, I guess I would say, accepted. I'm just keep it all the way 100, right? We being transparent right now. We being open and honest. Accepted for who I really was, because I'm a free spirit. So I'm very outgoing. I'm very bubbly. And being a preacher's kid, I felt like I had to walk a fine line. Like, it's okay, to be outgoing and, but not too outgoing. It's okay to be a free spirit, but not too much of a free spirit. And I just wanted to be myself. And I think one of the biggest lessons and biggest takeaways you will all get from my book is to love yourself, regardless, because I have come from a long road of not knowing myself, not loving myself, not knowing how to love anybody else, being so afraid. Being so afraid of rejection, of abandonment, and because I've endured those things, I've been through those things, and a lot of times it doesn't feel good to be in that spot where you feel like you can't be your full self because you will be rejected for it. Or you can't be your full self because that's not the way you were taught, so you become abandoned by it. And then one thing I've learned on this journey that I'm on is I did a lot of self-betrayal. And what I mean by that is the things that I wanted to do, I talked myself out of it. The things are I wanted to be a professional choreographer. And growing up in a religious, traditional background church, it was kind of like, no, that's not accepted here. You know, we're gonna go by the word of God. We're gonna live for God. But then now looking back on it, I'm like, well, I could have served God and still been a dancer. Like, why do I have to pick and choose? If God has given me this talent and this gift and this passion for dance, why can't I express that? Why can't that be my form of expression and still be okay to serve God?
So good. And, you know, there's a lot to unpack there. And one of the things that I love that you said is being your authentic self, you know. And, you know, I think a lot of times people forget that they're people. You know, like, I compare PKs a lot and pastors and leaders a lot with celebrities, right? And why I say that is because, you know, you put them at such a high pedestal that if they mess up, you forget they're human. You forget that they're just like you. You know, you forget that they have tendencies to fail. You forget that they have tendencies that they're not all perfect. You know, and I always feel that there's a lot of similarities, and I think as pastors' kids, or even anybody, like I know with us growing up being teachers' kids, at the same time, you're always marked, you're being looked at. And I think a lot of people don't understand, like, you know, I think even if you're not a pastor's kid, if you're not, you know, maybe you just have a family name that you have to uphold. And it's like, it tarnishes you in a sense, right? Because you're holding all this, like, I can't ever mention this because it will, like, make my mom look bad. I can't be vulnerable because it will make my dad look bad. And they don't realize what it's doing to you
in the process,
and the trauma that's happening to you. And one of the things, you know, it took me, geez, girl, I'm 38. I probably didn't open up to somebody till I was like 34 years old. And I held everything. I remember the first day I opened up to my friend. She's still my best friend to this day.
Hey, best friend.
Hey, best friend. And she was the first person that, like, you know, we all have those people that, like, God finally brings into your life. You're able to fully just be vulnerable, transparent, no judgment, no nothing. And that was the first time I was able to feel that relief of, you know what, I'm going to just get it all out. And you really don't start tasting freedom until you're honest.
Come on.
And so I love this because,
thank you.
You know, I think people are going to see a different side because like you said, people always have this perspective of you know, the expectations of what a pastor's kid has to have, what they have to be, what a leader has to be, what this has to be. But then they don't see the trauma. You guys are going through trauma. You're dealing with your stuff. It's kind of like, you know, how they talk about the cobbler's kids, the ones who always don't have the shoes. It's the same way. Like, you're the one kind of missing out on all this stuff that everyone else is getting. So I love this.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited. We don't want to give it all away. You better buy one.
You better buy one. Amazon. Okay, DM me. Don't play.
And we're going to be posting all the links as usual. So you can get connected. We'll put everything, you know, as I always update you guys on everything. I put all the links in there so you guys could get connected with my sis, where to purchase her book. We'll put all platforms on there so you can order it. And so, so I'm loving this.
Thank you so much.
So how long did this take?
Girl,
what process?
Listen. I actually started writing, I was in college. I was going to Community College of Denver. And that was some years ago, girl. Like you said, I'm 35, so.
You're in the real of us today. I'm aging myself today.
Please, scratch that from the record, okay? But I was going to Community College of Denver, and I had a professor at the time who told me that I had a gift of writing because I did this creative, reflective piece. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can write it. So it started out me writing about the failed relationship that I had when I was 16, 17 years old. Yeah. And it was called The Lover's Loss. And so after that, I kind of put it on hold because I wasn't ready to deal with it. Yeah. I wasn't ready to accept what had happened. So this has been a long process for me to really sit down and start writing it and start putting everything on paper. It was probably about a 2-year process. Yeah. Because as I was writing, I was processing. As I was writing, I was being freed. As I was writing, I was having sleepless nights and crying and just, really digging deep into the trauma of why things happened the way they happened. So that's what was the most pivotal moments in my life, is that it's not just a book. Yeah. It's not just words on a piece of paper. These are letters to myself to free myself.
So good.
So that's why it took me so long to write a book, because I wasn't ready to accept the things that had happened. I wasn't ready to come to grips with it. I wasn't ready to take my responsibility. And some of the things that I went through. Yeah. Like a lot of times too, and what I want to mention is, as a preacher's kid, we cannot always blame things on our parents. Come on. We cannot always blame things on our upbringing, because when you get to a certain point in age, you have to start realizing and taking accountability for yourself.
Come on, you better. I'm about to take my shoe off, girl. You better preach that. You better preach that.
So if you want to be healed from those childhood traumas, you're going to have to take accountability for yourself and start dealing with those. Yeah. And a lot of that was in my relationship. So the way that I had to deal with it is really recognizing the things that I was going through that caused me to choose the wrong relationships, choose the wrong men. So it was a process. Yeah. And a process to where I am able to say that I got through it. Blood, sweat, the tears, the lonely nights, the misunderstandings that I had along the way, the spiritual awakening I encountered about 2 years ago to wake up to the real me. And let me stop there. A spiritual awakening is not what people think it is. They think that once you become spiritually woken, everything is going to just fall into your lap. No, spiritual awakening is a process to where you have to dig deep into your traumas, your issues, your heartache, your pain, everything that you have encountered up until this moment. So it's not glamorous. It's a beautiful process, but it's not a glamorous process. Yeah. So if anyone out there who is going through, and the way that I came to my spiritual awakening is I was just at a place in life where I had said I had enough. Yeah. I had enough of being mistreated. I had enough of hiding the real me. I had enough of not showing up authentically, going back to what we said. So I know I had to make some changes. Yeah. And that's what prompted me to, like, okay, we're going to write this book. You're going to leave it all here. Whether people judge you for it, whether people criticize you for it, whether people talk about you for it, talk about how you got addicted to pornography at 13 years old, that's not your problem anymore. Yeah. God said, I'm freeing you so that you don't have to carry it behind the scenes anymore. Yeah. So that you don't have to live with this regret or this shame, or like, that's what it is. It's freeing you from the regret, from the shame, from the dysfunction. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how you say that about a spiritual awakening, right? Because, there's something when, you give your life to God.
Absolutely.
And you're going through this process, right? It's not all sunshines and rainbows, right? I think a lot of people get that misconception, like everything's going to be okay. Definitely. Like God's going to take care of everything. There's no worries.
I'm going to win the lottery.
Yeah, I got all the winning numbers. Exactly. Come on, I ain't got to go to my job on Monday.
I can give my 2 weeks today.
and then Monday comes, I know my job back.
Can I take that back?
But one thing is about being having that self-awareness. Yes. And that spiritual awakening there. Yes. And knowing, and I love how you said that, because I remember the time, that I was in this position and I was like, I don't want this no more. God, I need you to do something different in my life. Like, you're awake to what's happening. And I've tried everything.
Woo.
I've tried it on my own. I tried therapists. And some of us still need therapists. But sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't work for some of us, right? Exactly. So everybody has their own things. But I need this. I've tried this. I've tried this. I've tried it through relationships. I've tried it through whatever. But Jesus is like, have you tried me?
Have you tried me?
Mm.
And you know what? Going back to being a preacher's kids, we always have the assumption of we know God.
Yeah.
I know God already.
Yeah.
My father preaches about him. My grandfather preaches. I know God. No, what we know is Scripture.
Mm.
We do not know or experience the fullness of God until we come into that awareness.
Yeah.
We know religious tradition. We know ritual. We know worship songs. But we do not know Jesus.
Yeah.
For who he really is in our personal life. We know him to who he is for our parents.
Yeah.
We know him for who he is for the congregations that we associate ourselves with. But do we really clearly know who Jesus is for ourselves?
Yes. And that's one thing about being in his word, right? And I tell people this all the time because they're like, you're a part of this church, this, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's more than that. Like, it's about having
so much more.
a relationship, right?
A relationship.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that. It's about having a relationship. And just like me and you are talking, right?
Yes.
Just like us who are talking. Those of you who've been with Ignite for the past 2.5 years, you've gotten to know me. You know my characteristics.
Exactly.
You know when I'm happy. You know when I'm sad. You know when days are going good. Everything like that. It's the same thing with God.
It's the same thing.
And then when he starts revealing everything to you, you start having that inner transformation that leads to that outer transformation.
That inner transformation. That's the thing right there. And I'm glad you said it. That inner transformation is where it's at. So get on your inner transformation. Because that's exactly where it's at. It first has to start on the inside out.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest things that I'm learning. And one thing I also want to say is that when you feel like you have it all figured out and when you feel like your life is going good, there's always a plot twist. So it's not just you meet this level and then that's where you stay. No, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey. That transformation is a journey because something may come across your path to trigger you back into the healing that you need to do. And that's what I've been also encouraging. Things trigger me, and I remember so clearly back in December I had an issue where I thought, I thought I had me a little boo thing, okay? Come on, everything was going good, and then all of a sudden it kind of like took, a turn for the worse. And I'm like, oh, well, what happened? What happened here? But it triggered me. Yeah. Because the places in myself where I thought I was confident, where I thought I was ready, where I thought, oh, I got it, all together. I'm healed. I'm good. I'm ready. It triggered me to say, no, you're not ready because now you're falling back into the depression. Now you're falling back into the emotional eating. Now you're falling back into old habits and patterns that you've worked so hard to come out of.
Yes.
So you need to go back. Get at the feet of Jesus and ask him to heal you all over again. Yes. And heal you from that triggering, that trauma that triggers you to do those things.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I brought this up on my show a lot. And y'all know, those of you who are faithful in here know what I always say, it's about wholeness, right? We're never going to be 100% whole until Jesus comes back.
Until Jesus comes back.
Until he comes back.
That's right.
But there's areas in our lives where we become whole, right? And for example, like with me, in those relationships, all right, I've gotten whole and like I don't need somebody to feel me in this area. But as I told you, it's like someone coming to your house. Come on, us girls know this, right?
Exactly.
Someone's coming over, my sis coming over. Let me throw everything in the closet.
Exactly.
So, what I'm saying? I don't have time to vacuum everything. Let me throw it in here, and I'll take it out. But then you have a good time. You come over, we fellowship. You leave, and then, a couple months down the road, man, where did I put that soccer ball?
Exactly.
Oh, let me open the closet, and all this stuff comes falling out. And it's the same thing with us. We tend to put those things to the side. So we deal with our biggest traumas, but these little traumas that are not as crucial, we tend to push them to the back. And then we'll get to those moments if we don't deal with them where those things are triggering us. But the good thing is that we have self-awareness.
Exactly.
And if you have that self-awareness, you're already 90% in a good position.
You're already doing it. You're already doing it. You're in a better position than anyone else.
Yes.
Because so many people refuse to tackle their traumas because it hurts so much.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to relive the past. But in order to get to your future, you must go through the path. And I'm reminded of a scripture, Psalms 23:4 says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadows of death.
Come on.
Those shadows of insecurity, the shadows of unforgiveness, the shadows of resentment, the shadows of abandonment, the shadows of molestation, the shadows of rape. You have to walk through those shadows in order to see and be and become the light to somebody.
Come on, that's a word. Y'all, if you're not getting full, I'm getting full over here by myself.
You have to.
Yes.
You have to, and that produces self-awareness.
Yes.
So that you know, okay, next time, I ain't about to go for homeboy over there. I've been down that road before. I think I'm gonna take a left. Yeah.
That's when you gotta have the spirit of Melissa with the cutoff.
He's that cutoff game. Period.
Y'all know my cutoff game is strong, okay? So that's when you gotta think, all right, Ignite taught me the cutoff.
Okay. Ignite to cut off. Okay, not baby. We're not doing that.
But being aware, and this is one thing that I want you guys. I always talk about it here on the show. But that's one thing about having a great community, right? You want that community of people that can bring you up. Because I'm sure, sis, that if you were still running with the same people, if you're still running with the same relationships, this would have never happened. Your healing would have never happened. And all glory to God. But who comes first out of all of it? But come on. We have to understand that who we are and who we surround ourselves with is what happens with this, right? It doesn't say good company corrupts bad character. It says bad company corrupts good character, right? So who you have in your circle, who do you have lifting you up? Who are those people who are pushing you? I mean, I have people who are like, girl, you're wrong. Yeah. And I'm mad at them and I'm like, forget you. Right. And then tomorrow I'll call you and be like, okay, I was wrong.
You're right. I could have handled that differently.
But do you have those friends? Absolutely. Do you have those friends that are going to be truthful with you and be like, girl, no, get yourself together.
Definitely.
Girl, let's pick you up. You don't need that. Girl, let's, you are who God said you are.
Yeah, definitely. I have the most amazing people now in my life that holds me accountable. Yeah. And that pushes me to be my best self. I have my best friend Janae. Shout out to my bestie Janae. And to my sister Shantae. Shout out to my besties. Those two hold me down. And there's a whole handful of people that I can say, but it's amazing how God does things. Yeah. Because He puts people in your path when you least expect it.
Come on.
And I want to give a very special shout out to Lady Baker for Powerhouse Ministries. She is one of the people who I found myself drawn to, who is very open and transparent, and she understands some of the things that I've been through. And we went through this 35-day mentorship program at the beginning of this year. Yeah. And when I tell you that mentorship program was life-changing, we got up, we prayed together. It was about 12 of us on the line. And I'm like, 12? And in one morning of the mentorship program, somebody said, this is the 12 disciples. I said, come on, Jesus. Yes. Come on, I'm Peter, because I was coming my zero. Please, try me if you want to, okay?
Because I'm trying to tease it.
Okay, don't try me, because I throw hands, okay? But she has been one to where I can feel like I can go and talk to about anything. Of course, my mother, she's always there trying to give her best advice and trying to be that encouragement to me. So I do have those people in my life. My Aunt Tilly, I think she was Dolores here earlier, to where they love on me and they accept me for who I am, and they tell me when I'm wrong. They try to keep me uplifted and encouraged to continue doing the work and continue my healing journey. Yeah. And like you said, if it had not been for them really pushing me to be my greatest self and to be confident in who I am, this book would have never happened. My business would have never happened. My YouTube channel would have never happened. Like, all these things started unfolding when I got myself connected and aligned to the right people.
Yeah, and you need people. You need to be connected. Definitely. And, I think that's one of the things that people fail to realize is the enemy will always try and keep you in isolation, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have that shame. You have that guilt. Yeah. You have everything. So you want to make sure that you do have a community. If you don't have a community, pray and speak about it, and I know that sometimes, I know for me, there was years that, I said, I didn't open up to anybody till I was 34, 35. And, you know, there was years, and finally I was like, God, I need you to bring those people into my life. Those people who are going to hold me accountable, God. Those people who are going to grow me. But, God, that have my best interest at heart. And that, God, you send them. And he will send them. And, you know, and after that, like, it was God ordained for the people that came into my life at that time. And, you know, there's certain people who aren't there no more. Nothing bad, just they're not there. But God will bring people in for a time. There's, like he says in his word, there's a time and a season and a reason for everything.
Everything. And that's so true because, like you said, it's not nothing bad to, I wouldn't say distance yourself. That's not the word I'm looking for. But to find a new soul tribe, so to speak. Someone that makes your soul flourish. It's not nothing hard. We don't have to have a falling out. But we just outgrow each other. And that's okay because we're here to evolve. We're here to continuously learn and become our best selves. And if someone is not fitting who once fit you, that's okay too. And that's what I had to learn. I had a real bad problem. I'm going to just be transparent, okay? I had a real bad problem wanting to hold on to people and situations that no longer serve my higher purpose. Why? Because I was so afraid that fear of abandonment caused me to grip tighter than what I needed to friendships, to relationships, to temporary people that I made long-term that overstayed their welcome. But when you finally, like Melissa said, when you finally come to a place and say, I don't want to do this anymore, Lord, send me those people who are going to elevate me, who are going to pray for me, pray with me, help me to get through these hard times. Because I don't need a friend that's going to say, girl, let's just go out to the club. Let's go twerking. That's not going to solve my problems. Because I go out to the club and I'm going to be twerking, but then I'm going to go home and cry myself to sleep. Because that did not solve the issue. I need somebody to say, come on, girl, give me your hand. Let's pray through this right here, right now. I don't care if it's a 5-minute prayer. I don't care if it's a 10, 30, 20-minute prayer. But I just needed those people in my life to say, instead of let's go into the club, let's take it to the Lord in prayer.
I mean, you could go to the church club. Not that church club, okay.
Holy Ghost party! Holy Ghost party! I'm all for it.
Ain't no party like a Holy Ghost party because the Holy Ghost party don't stop, period. Yes, and you know, it's amazing because, let me tell you, it's so good to see what God does. It makes me happy because I love seeing what God does in other people's lives. Like, I know what God's done in my life, but I love when I get to see, like you, my sis, like what God's doing and all the amazing things and the things going from glory to glory. And it's like, man, and you guys don't see, it's kind of like a picture, right? You see the picture, but you don't see the story behind it, right? And so when you get to see that picture, like, you don't know at that time when that person was smiling in that picture that they just lost everybody in their family, you know? Or right here when my sister's smiling in this picture, but maybe behind that she had to let some people go that she was holding on to. So you don't know the story behind the photo, right? So when you start learning the story behind it all, it's so great to see, and it's so good to see what God is doing in your life.
Thank you so much.
And the transformation and just keep elevating and evolving. And I love it. And you also have a YouTube channel that came out, New Phase, right?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
TV.
Oh my God, New Phase TV is my baby. This is my first love, and New Phase TV is my baby. Why? Because I took all the experiences in my life. I'm like I said, I'm a writer, so I journal a lot. So during this whole process, I have been journaling the things that I wanted to manifest in my life, the things that I wanted to out with the old in with the new. So New Phase TV was a part of me that I really didn't know if I could do or not because of the limiting beliefs, and that's why I started my YouTube channel with disintegrating and destroying the limiting beliefs. And a lot of people think that the limiting beliefs that I came up with are just things that I've heard or things that I've read about. No, these are limiting beliefs that I put on myself and that I allow other people to place on me because of how I was raised and because of my background and things like that. So New Face TV is my declaration to the world. Tell them it's showtime.
Come on.
Tell them it's showtime. I don't have nothing to hide. I don't have nothing to be ashamed of. I don't have nothing to be afraid of. And that's why New Face TV, because it's a new phase that I'm entering into my life.
Yes.
After I've got rid of all the limiting beliefs, the doubt, the fears that amplified, that was probably just pebbles at the time. You know, we be exaggerated.
I know. Come on. That's me when I'm like, I need you to come to the office. Dang, what did I do? I shouldn't have drank the extra soda.
Oh, man, did I take that? Did I do that? I should have took that pen.
Did they see me do that?
So new phase, the way that God gave it to me was that it's a new way and a new phase of living for God. Living for Christ, unapologetically, unashamed, unrestricted. And that's what I want people to get from this YouTube channel is that, yes, you may have grew up a certain way, but again, like I said, at some point in time, you got to come into your own.
Yes.
You got to do things the way that God is calling and telling you to do it. I was anointed for this.
Yes.
I was called and I was chosen for this.
Come on.
And that's what somebody, that's my prayer that I hope that somebody gets from this. You don't have to always stay with the status quo. You can bust out and be that butterfly. You could come out of that cocoon. You could come out of hiding. And a lot of things about New Face TV is that I was not ashamed or afraid, but I just wasn't at a place or a capacity to where I felt comfortable being on camera.
Yeah.
So I had to build my confidence to get into that. That's why it's my baby, because it pulled something out of me, something that I didn't even know I had in me.
Come on.
I would be on YouTube. I love YouTube. Okay?
Come on.
So I would be on YouTube listening to all these other motivational speakers and Sarah Jakes Roberts and Latoya Okia, and I'm like, man, I wish I had that.
Yes.
I wish I could do that. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me. He said, the women that you admire already sparked a part of you that you can do this too.
Yeah.
So that's why I started New Phase TV. My ultimate goal, my dream was to also be a radio and TV personality. And I've been trying many things. I went to Colorado Media School. I've tried many things, and I'm just like, I just can't find my niche. I just haven't got it yet. So then when I started going through these things that, you know, at some point we have to be transparent.
Yeah.
Because we never know who we're going to help. We never know who we're going to encounter that may need a word of encouragement. And I started New Face TV with the daily dose of confidence.
Yes.
So all of my videos concerning limited belief, I'm being your personal cheerleader.
Yeah.
Like, I'm rooting for you. I want you to win. I want you to let go of this limited belief that it's not okay to be different. A lot of people don't rock the way that I rock my hair because they sometimes feel like it's too manly. But baby, I look good with my hair.
Yes, she does. Come on. She's queen.
Take a look at me real quick. Don't get it twisted, okay? So a lot of people
You're made in the likeness of God.
Hello, I'm made in His image. And if I feel like I'm dope, that means my God I serve is dope.
Yes,
and there's nothing that we can't do, right?
Yes.
There's nothing. It said all things are possible to him that believe. I had to start believing in myself.
Yes.
I had to. I had no other choice. Like, the time has come to where you got to let aside all the doubts, all the fears, and just believe.
Yes.
And let me do the rest. That's what God asks us to do. Just believe in me.
Yes.
And I'll do the rest.
I'm going to tell you what I've been telling everybody this year. Because it's a word that God gave me. And I'll share it to everybody. I tell you, Matthew 6:33.
Yeah.
Okay?
Come on.
He said, seek me first.
That's
seek
hard.
the kingdom first.
Period.
Seek him first. And then what?
All these things.
And all these things
shall be added
onto you.
Period.
So when you keep him as your main focus, when you keep him there first,
come on.
When you're in your word, when you're praying,
yes.
Come on. We serve a mighty God.
Hello.
One word, he's able to move mountains.
What?
Okay? So don't think that my God cannot come up and say, girl, I'm going to give you the words to write a book. Come on. Queen, you're made in my image. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. I am who I said you are.
Come on.
You are. Bless the people. Come on. Okay? So when he says who you are, when he's giving you a word, he's not a man that would lie.
Period.
Come on.
You better believe him.
You better believe him. And he will never leave you. He'll never forsake you. Even if you leave him, come on. Even if you leave him, he hasn't left you.
Hello.
Even though the promises he gave you and you walked away from the promise is still there for you to walk into when you're ready. Come on. When you're ready to fully give it to him. See? And that's the key. You got to give it to him.
And y'all see why it's called Ignite with Melissa. She bring that fire, okay? She bring that fire. That's exactly what it is. And you said something. Even when we leave him, even when we turn our back on him, no matter how far we try to run, because you can never really run, he's still there waiting for you with open arms. And that's one thing I had to realize. Just because I was hiding from myself, just because I was hiding from the stigma of being a preacher's kid, God saw me just as I am, weary, wounded, and sad. Yes. And it says, in him I found a resting place, and God has made me glad. He's allowed me to experience him like never before in these last 2 years after my grandfather died. Yes. And I couldn't understand. I'm like, well, like I said, I know God. I know who he is. I know.
And he's like, no, you don't know.
He's like, no. Let me show you the real me. Yes. So you can then be the real you. And that's what happens.
So good. So good. Happens. Come on, Queen.
Yes.
We're bringing you a word today.
Yes. Welcome to church.
Welcome to church.
Exactly.
And so, you got so many great things going on. Yes. And you're going to be having a book release soon, a book signing. Yes, and so, guys, we're going to keep you updated on everything with my sis, because you got to get out there. Go meet this queen. Come on. You're going to already be elevated once you get there.
Period. Bring that positive love and energy. I love you guys. I do it for y'all.
And not only that, come on. How many know that when you have the light in you, right? When you have that, when you walk in, they know that something's different when you walk in the room.
They know.
Okay? And that's how it is when my sis comes in. I was already like, come on, man. But man, there's something different, right?
Yes.
And there's a move and there's a change.
Absolutely.
And guys, I don't know if you know, but we're in one of the greatest seasons right now.
Oh my gosh.
And for those of you that know God personally, you know that there's a shift happening. You know that there's something happening. Now's your time to take it all back.
Now's your time to tap in.
It is time to tap in.
Now's your time to tap in. And that's what New Face Tea. Tap into all the blessings that God has for you. Why would you keep prolonging the blessings that you've been praying for?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get that. If we're praying for something, if we're praying for increase in our finances, if we're praying for our families to accept Jesus Christ, if we're praying for us to be elevated and to come into these divine connections, why are you still not tapping into this season?
Come on. And what did he say in this word? Faith without works is what?
Is dead.
Muerto.
Get to work. Get to work.
Get to work. Y'all better start getting out there. Come on. It's like, you praying in your life, Jesus, bless my finances.
Exactly.
But you think he's going to come without you getting a job. Come on. Come on.
He's just going to be like, okay.
There it is.
He's like, no, what you need to do is go on Indeed.com.
Get your resume together.
Get your resume together, okay?
And not the fake one. Per minute. And they're like, we need you in the office.
Exactly.
I'm like the yeah.
Oh my God, but yes, get your resume together. If you want to start a YouTube channel, start looking at different content on YouTube on how to start a YouTube channel. I'm all about learning. I'm all about exploring. I'm very curious. I like to know how things work. So in the midst of me starting my own YouTube channel, I was watching videos on what equipment I needed. And at this moment in time, I only have a laptop and a mouth. Okay?
You know what? All you have is what? All you need.
Is all I need. And I'm expecting greater. I'm expecting to be expanded. I'm expecting things from God to fall into place like only He can do it. So, but I have to put in the work.
Yes.
And I have to have the faith and belief that whatever I put out, God is about to double it up.
Yes.
So.
And one thing I want to jump in on that is just say that, we know God is able to do anything. We know He can, flourish us. He wants us to have life and life more abundantly.
Yes.
Right? But one thing is that make sure your heart is in the right place.
Ooh,
come on.
That's it.
Because sometimes, we want all the greater blessings, but our heart isn't pure about it.
We want it for all the wrong reasons.
Remember, what your motive is for. Remember your why. And I say all this to say is because, you know, for us out here who are like, I want to reach souls. I want to reach people. I want to make a difference, a transformational difference, not just something that makes you feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that something that just, it gets me through the day. Something that seed to hit.
Exactly.
For it to be fruitful. And for it to transform you. And so that you, come on. And so remember why you're doing it. Remember who it's for. And so you start up that YouTube channel. If only one person watches it, that's okay, because it's that one person that's getting reached.
Girl, you just hit it right there, because I'm not even going to hold y'all up. I got a little discouraged because I'm like, oh man, I only got 2 views on this video. But just like you just said, those are 2 people that was blessed. Those are 2 people that may have learned something new about themselves that they didn't see before.
Yeah.
So I don't care if it's 1 view. I don't care if it's 1 like. And I was big. I was big on likes and subscribes and, you know, getting all these likes on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. But it was not being fruitful. I want my life to be the reflection of the hard work I put in it. And I wanted to bring forth the fruit that it needs to. I don't want to keep producing rotten fruit. I don't want to keep producing things that are not fruitful and that are not edifying to anybody. I don't want to be that person that just does it for the money or does it for the likes or does it for the accolades. No, I want it to, because I want people to be healed. Like you said, remember your why. And through this whole process, I found my purpose. And my purpose was birthed through pain. Like, a lot of people find their purpose, okay, that's cool and dandy. Walking down the street, they be inspired. But for a majority of us, your purpose has to be birthed through pain. And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why I had to go through the things I had to go through. But I understand it now. It's because I had to go through those things in order to help someone else. We have to realize that sometimes it's never even really about us. But it's
never about us.
It's never about us. But it's all about what God wishes to accomplish through us. We are just His vessels. And that's why you have to remember your why. I had to remember why I started. I don't care I only got 2 likes. That's not why I started. I don't want to be this big phenomenon. I just want to share love. I just want to encourage. I just want to inspire. I just want to empower people to be their best selves. Remember your why.
You have to remember your why. And you have to remember what you're doing it for, you know. And everybody has their different reasons. But I know on here, like, we're talking about kingdom. We're kingdom-minded, kingdom business. And you got to remember, when you put God first, as I talked about earlier, putting God first, all these things, because then God's going to see. She never was looking at the likes.
She
was never looking at the followers. Do you think Jesus looked at all the followers that followed Him?
Because if He looked at the followers, He would have got distracted.
Don't let distraction take you out of your purpose. Come on.
That's a whole other one. That's a whole other one. Don't get distracted.
Don't get distracted. But, you know, all that to say is that even when we're talking about pain on here today, we don't take it lightly, right? There's a purpose for your pain, and everything that you've gone through, there's something that's going to come out of it.
Absolutely.
You know, and He says in His word, all things work together for the good of those. Of what? Of those who love
Jesus Christ,
the Lord.
Yes,
so
it does.
Don't forget that. And, you know, I want to ask you today, you know, we're going to go over just a little bit, guys, but I want to ask you, what is one thing that, whether it's a scripture, maybe somebody's told you, maybe it's just your own words to yourself. Come on, because how many know that there's power in our words, right? It can speak life or death. But what is something that was spoken to you, maybe you've read, that has changed you, that has always stuck with you, that maybe it would be transformational for our viewers as well, that you would like to share?
One thing that I have been reading this book lately by Oprah Winfrey, and it's The Path. And in those, they have different dialogues from many people that she's interviewed. And one of them was talking about it's okay to have the fear. It's okay to have the fear, but in spite of having the fear, you also have to have the courage. And courage is feeling the fear, but doing it anyway. And that has been so transformative in my life. I have to feel the fear, but I cannot allow that fear to keep me stagnant, to keep me stuck, to keep me from pursuing my goals, to keep me from chasing my dreams. We must feel the fear, because fear automatically ignites us to say, okay, something might be going wrong here. Or it may be just our own insecurities saying, well, you didn't do so good that last time. Why would you try again? But you have to feel the fear, but you have to replace it with courage and do it anyway. Knees knocking, tears rolling down your face, apprehensive, hesitation. And then the other thing that one person said to me is, create your own platform. Because I had gotten so discouraged that, because you know, when you have so much in you that will help people transform their lives, but you just don't have those type of platforms to where you are able to put it out there so the masses could hear it. Well, somebody told me to create your own platform. And that stuck with me. And that's how I began to write my book. That's a platform. That's how I began to do my my conference line prayers. That's how I began to do my YouTube channel. I started off doing just a conference call about 5 years ago, and it was called Intercession for This Generation. And it was just a conference call, just come on and get on the prayer line. But then God told me there's something more. There's something more. And I want you to start interviewing different people to give them the opportunity to tell their story. And that's how Rise, Step Into Your Power, which also, I don't think I told you about that.
No, you didn't.
Yes. Let's do this. Sorry, y'all, take them down, but y'all here now. But I also, it transformed into Rise, Step Into Your Power. And I'm launching season 3 of that March 7th at 6 p.m.
Okay,
So y'all make sure y'all be on the lookout for that. And going back to what you were saying, I also have an event coming up. It's the I was actually honored to be spotlighted by one of my good friends. I've known her for a long time, Michelle Alexander. Thank you so much. Shout out to you. I love you. And it's going to be an event on February 26th. It's the Black History Pop-Up Shop. And it's going to be from 12 to 4:30. I will be there. I will be signing my books. So, again, if you haven't gotten your book, go to Amazon, DM me to pre-purchase, and then meet me there on the 26th so I can,
Yes. And if you go and you're coming from the show, tell her that Ignite sent you. Come on.
Exactly.
So she can see where you're coming from.
Definitely.
And as you know, we're going to link everything in. So give me all the information. We'll link it on the sites. And so y'all can get connected, know where to go. Purchase a book, y'all. I can already tell this book is going to be fire.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
You got to get it out. And especially those of you that are PKs, come on, future kids.
Exactly.
Y'all know we need some of this.
Y'all know we do. So thank you so much, Melissa, for having me.
Well, you know, before we head out, I want to ask you if there's anything that we haven't talked about today that you want to talk about. And give you that time, because you know we talk about a lot of things, and I always want to offer that up to everybody, because I know sometimes we have things in the back of our head that we're like, I want to talk about that, and then we forget about it.
Exactly. I think we've done a pretty good job covering all bases. I just want everybody to know that it's never too late. It's never too late to start over again. It's never too late to choose a different course for your life, and that's one thing that I'm learning to do, is just choose a different path nowadays. Like, there's nothing set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. So we've done amazing. I've loved and I've enjoyed every minute of this show. But yeah, just keep me in prayer, and anything that, and going back to the community, I'll be your community. I'll be your friend.
Come on.
I'll be your friend.
We're going to connect you.
But yes, I don't think there's anything else that I can think of at the top of my head right now.
Okay, yes. Well, I just want to give you that opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, we thank you guys so much for tuning in as always and hanging out with us. Whether you're at your job, you're in the car driving, or wherever you may be, as always, we thank you for tuning in here on Ignite with Melissa on KUHS Denver, the stream. You guys are loyal. We love you. Without you guys being on here, I wouldn't be able to do what I do every week, and I appreciate you guys. And, you know, before we head out today, I want to remind you, if no one has, that you have purpose,
Absolutely.
you are loved,
Absolutely.
and you belong. So I hope you all have an amazing weekend.
Yes.
Enjoy that nice weather because the snow's coming in again.
Yes. I'm not ready. I ain't ready for it.
I'm ready. But you better get ready.
Okay. You better be ready when you come.
And so my queen here, y'all, give her some fire in the chat. Come on, get some love
so much for
out there. And thank you so much, Queen, for coming on. You're doing amazing things. I'm so proud of you from one sis to another. And I'm excited to see where God has you going and all the amazing things that you're going to do. And I'm ready to have you on here for, your tour.
Oh, yes.
The next
Let's
thing.
get it. Come on,
let's get it now.
Come on, speak to me.
Girl, you got this. Come on. You're going to be changing lives.
Thank you so much.
And so, guys, thank you so much. And we're headed out. So, thanks. As always, music runs here 24/7. Shows are here daily. So don't forget to tune in. But your girl will be back next Friday at 4 p.m. Mountain Sexy Time. Come on.
Hey, come on.
So love, peace.
I need to be on Sexy Time.
Yeah, come on with the Mountain Sexy Time. Shake it there, Queen. Come see her at her signing. I'm just saying.
Yes, I'm just saying.
You might end up with the crown. You might be her king. I don't know. I'm just putting it out here. Maybe God ordained you to come sign this book, okay? And you're like, I'ma just come out there and see my beautiful wife. Well, she'll be waiting for you, okay? Just know that ring's got to be bigger than the crown.
That part. Okay, I'm glad you said it.
I'll say it. It's like this. But y'all who know me, I want that camera.
Forget the ring off the camera.
Forget the ring off the camera.
I love it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. We love you. Have an amazing weekend.
Bye.
Signing out here on Ignite. Love, peace, and God bless, y'all.
God bless. Thank you.